Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today with Representative Luke Meerman. And the representative and I are going to have a great conversation about agriculture in Michigan, the importance of the work that Michigan State University AgBioResearch and Extension do to help support the number two contributor to the state's economy, and talk about the future and get his kind of input on what resonates downtown with our elected officials and some insight into priorities for the future that he's heard from his constituents. Representative Meerman, welcome. We look forward to the conversation.
Same here, George. I'm looking forward to this as well.
All right, so let's dive right in. I know agriculture is a subject that is near and dear to your heart, and you have a background in the industry. So tell us a little bit about your experience in agriculture, and then share with us some insight in terms of what you hear from your constituents, whether they be farmers, ag industry representatives, or people in rural communities about the needs of the industry in Michigan.
I will always consider myself a dairy farmer first and foremost. And I've worn a few different hats, and currently I'm a state representative, but I come back to the farm almost every day and still milk some cows once in a while, certainly work on equipment and machinery, and do some farming with my brother, corn and soybeans. So I just love it. I love coming back here and doing that kind of work. So I often think about agriculture when I'm there in Lansing. And agriculture has a lot of different stresses. Some of it is regulatory. There's a lot of financial pressure, as we all know. Less than 2% of the population is now raising food for all the rest of us, plus more of the world. So I I do think about agriculture a lot. I just want to start off by thanking MSU and thanking all those involved, George, for its long history of support of agriculture and really being that kind of right arm to Michigan agriculture. My father went to the short course there at MSU,
Mhm.
and grateful that we now have new milking facilities. But that's also saying that MSU got a lot of use and a lot of dollars out of the original milking facility that was just changed. So um, I just appreciate MSU and its strength that it gives agriculture.
Yeah, thanks, Representative. A lot to really unpack there. I appreciate your perspective about once you're involved in agriculture or once you're a farmer, you're always a farmer, even if you don't spend as much time on a day-to-day basis involved in things on the farm. It's for me, it's been 50 years since I spent my time on my parents' farm as a young person. But, agriculture and the importance of agriculture is really ingrained in my DNA. And that's why I feel so fortunate to have the job I do now, being able to support the entirety of agriculture in the state of Michigan, over 300 commodities, from apples to zucchini and everything in between. And helping empower our scientists to do great work that will really make a difference for our farmers, our ranchers, our growers in the short and long term. And boy, we can have a great conversation about our new dairy facility and the opportunities that that's going to open up for the future for the number one contributor to the state's agricultural economy and all the important problems that we can help solve through the efforts of our scientists working in partnership with MSU Extension to do work to solve problems and get it out to people who can use it. And you're right, it's challenging times for the agricultural community on a whole host of levels. But we certainly appreciate your support and the support of your colleagues in the Michigan legislature for the great work we do. So, Representative, I mentioned, the diversity of agriculture in Michigan, everything from apples to zucchini and everything in between, and 300 commodities. From your perspective, how do the unique partnerships in Michigan agriculture contribute to success of the industry?
Yeah, other states, can't change water, weather, soil. those are things that Michigan is blessed with to begin with. But that's just the start of it. The agriculture community in Michigan has for a long time been strong. It's one of the first states to have a farm bureau start. And that was just farmers coming together, trying to answer problems. And in this case, the roads were going to be funded by the road frontage that each landowner had, which would, as you can imagine, put most of the burden on agriculture. And that's why Michigan Farm Bureau started here. All that to point out, agriculture is only as strong as the organizations and the willingness of farmers to work together. And that, I think, MSU, again, has played a long history of helping that, one of the first land grant universities in the United States. And again, the state of Michigan, the people of Michigan, looking to see MSU help Michigan be strong in agriculture. And we do have a great variety of things, as you've already mentioned. The second most products produced in the nation after California. And it has to do with our weather and our microclimates from the Great Lakes and our soils and, some acidic soils to grow blueberries in. And the variations that we have in Michigan are really quite unique in the United States. So, and it all comes down to, again, just the willingness of Michigan agriculture farmers to work together.
Yeah, right on, Representative. You really hit the nail on the head talking about what makes Michigan agriculture special, the unique partnerships, and how that diversity of agriculture is maintained, and the big important contribution. Weather, soil types are a big part of it. We look at the challenges our friends out west are facing with extreme weather, and we look at the importance of food security and national security going forward. I feel the upper Midwest, and specifically Michigan, is positioned to make an even greater contribution to food security for this country. And the organization I'm blessed to have the opportunity to lead, AgBioResearch, will continue to be on the front lines in solving the problems that hopefully allow Michigan agriculture to grow, expand, and thrive in the future, because our farmers do, in essence, feed the world, and it's important to everyone, whether directly involved in agriculture or not. So let's talk a little bit more specifically about agricultural research and the role it plays in supporting this major contributor to the state's economy. What are the priorities downtown with your colleagues in the legislature, and what can you tell us to help us, chart a very, very tactical, strategic direction for the future?
Well, I mentioned regulatory already in my opening remarks, and I think often it's bringing an understanding to type of agriculture, a practice in agriculture, and the digester at MSU was the first one I'd ever seen. And I don't remember how many years ago, but I bet you it was close to 20 years ago I saw that for the first time. And, it's something that is a benefit to agriculture. I mean, digesting is benefit to agriculture, especially animal agriculture. It's being done all over the United States and Europe. And so I know that there are changes coming to the digester at MSU. And it's incredibly important for us to have that research to lean on as we make decisions as legislators about digesting in particular, and how to keep our water safe, and many other things. So we hope to be a leader in digesting because it helps strengthen our agriculture community. And we're grateful that MSU has helped us along that way. And, we've got more work to do, but to me, that's one of the bigger things on the table on the legislative side of things that we're working through. How do we protect water at the same time, produce energy, green energy, and give animal agriculture a leg up? If we fall behind other states in Europe in our digesting here, our farmers in Michigan are at a disadvantage.
Yeah, boy, Representative, that's a very, very timely and important topic now and for the future, and it's directly related to the programmatic vision for the new dairy facility, which we were grateful that yourself in the legislature and others helped support that initial $30 million investment. In my world, the university or AgBioResearch is often asked questions. Tell me what you think of a given policy. Is it a good policy? Is it a bad policy? And to a T, my response always is it's not the role of the land grant institution to say good policy or bad policy. What we can do and what's directly related to our role is do research to generate data that can actually inform policy so decision makers have the information they need to make objective decisions about pros and cons and what is the appropriate direction from a regulatory perspective. Secondly, and I think equally important, or in some cases more important, it's our role to do research to lead to new technologies to improve existing technologies and also at the same time solve some of the issues which are sort of foundational to the challenges in terms of defining or implementing policy, in this case, that not only protects the environment, but also allows agriculture to thrive and contributes to renewable energy and the concept of a circular economy where our farmers are generating additional revenue for things produced on farm beyond, in the classical sense, on a dairy farm, revenue coming primarily from milk. So it's an important issue. We remain engaged and we love the opportunity to conduct additional work and develop those technologies that can really put Michigan on a solid, mutually agreeable footing for the future. It's really, really one of our top priorities and drove the justification for the new dairy facility. And we are looking at expansion of that effort through enhancing the digester capacity, working on technologies to pull the nutrients out of manure, and cost-effective strategies for converting the biogas to renewable natural gas in a manner that it will be actually applicable on dairy farms of all sizes in the state of Michigan. So yeah, thank you, Representative. You teed me up on a very important topic, and I'm glad we were able to cover that.
And just to feed off that just a little bit, the environmental side of things is incredibly important as well. Right up there with agriculture and auto industry is tourism in Michigan. And, trying to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position where, maybe we're not the tourist hotspot because of things that we have done wrong in agriculture. So there's definitely a balance there. Obviously, almost to a T, every farmer, wants to go enjoy those beautiful things here in Michigan too. So has no interest in trying to, make things worse. But MSU can help us walk through that. And, frankly, water is a big reason that agriculture has opportunities in Michigan. And anyway, the point is protecting water all the way around is important to all of us.
Yeah, right on, Representative. I'm actually expecting my first grandchild, and my desire would be for my grandchild's children and their children and their children to be able to experience all that makes Michigan special from an outdoors and natural resources perspective. And that includes, protecting our waterways, our Great Lakes, our inland waterways, inland lakes, et cetera. And I know we're all committed to that. If we work together, we can get that done. Um,
Yeah.
Kind of moving on or drilling a little bit deeper on the topic of research, we mentioned the important partnerships here in the state of Michigan between various commodity groups that are central to Michigan agriculture. We're also very unique that there's some special programs supported by the state of Michigan, such as Project Green, the Michigan Alliance for Animal Agriculture, and the Agriculture Resiliency Program that allow MSU AgBioResearch and Extension to solve short-term and long-term problems impacting agriculture through applied research and extension. Give us your perspective on the importance of those programs and why it's important for the legislature to support these signature programs, which really don't exist in other states across the country.
Yeah. Um, they are incredibly important, and I have colleagues that work very hard to put some of those programs to make them happen in the first place. Um, and I know it's one of Farm Bureau's top priorities is to keep those in place because of the value that they see as farmers in a farm organization benefit to the state of Michigan. We're facing we're going to have to cut the state budget this year, and in our next budget cycle, falling state revenues plus dedicating more money towards roads are two of the main factors for that. And so it's always a choice. There's always choices in the state legislature where the money gets spent. There's of course never enough, as most of us have in our own personal budgets. There's always more places we could use that money for. So it's a hard decision. But my hope is that, myself and multiple other people in the Senate and the House can show our colleagues that value that those programs bring to the state of Michigan. Some of them are right out of industry groups saying, this is what we need. We need this research going on. We can't get this research any other place. And it is the future of Michigan agriculture. Depends on its strength in the world, the strength in the rest of the United States. And by that, I mean just being on the front lines of things, doing it best, doing it well. And so I'm hopeful that we can keep those programs going. I know we've worked hard to keep what we have, and it's not always been easy, but we'll keep doing that. It's incredibly important.
Yeah, really appreciate that, Representative. We feel very fortunate to have the strong support that we have from the entire agricultural community and elected officials downtown for these important programs. And we know the path forward isn't getting any easier, but we're committed to doing everything we can in the future to continue to stay on message and talk about the importance of these programs. So along those lines, what insight can you provide, and what do you want farmers and agriculture community to know about discussions that are had at the legislative level around agriculture?
Well, I would encourage any that have even just a little inkling of interest in running for state office. It's incredibly important to have some of us that grew up wearing the work gloves, getting dirty, doing the chores every day there in Lansing. And our colleagues, I think, I really appreciate that and respect That occupation well represented in Lansing, and obviously there's many other occupations as well. But without that firsthand farm knowledge there in Lansing, it's pretty hard, I think, to represent it well. Secondly, do whatever you can to build a relationship with your state rep or senator. You might be surprised how easy it is. I'm going to district hours up in Fruitport here in just a few minutes, and about half the time, no one shows up there. So, if a farmer, to watch Facebook and show up at district hours, somebody who's a state rep or senator who's not a farmer, you'd be surprised how easy it is to build a relationship. So take the time and go do that. If you sit down with that state rep twice a year, you're going to stand out. You really will. You show up at the district hours and you talk passionately and intelligently, and you can encourage and you can to some extent push, but be careful how you do it. No one wants to sit down with someone after they just got chewed out. So there's a way to go about having that conversation, and it's very, very, very worthwhile. And then continue to make your voice heard there with Bureau and at MSU as well. And I think agriculture can continue to be strong as we engage in those ways.
Yeah, thank you, Representative, for that great advice. Be present, be engaged, don't hesitate to reach out to your elected officials. We're kind of approaching the end of our time, and the last question is kind of directly related to the previous question, but with a little bit of follow-up. And I know you already touched on this. So in the context of those conversations, what type of advice would you give to folks like myself, Director of Extension Quentin Tyler, our farmers' elected officials, to better communicate the impact of research and outreach? What type of examples really resonate, or what type of information do you want to hear from your constituents that can really make a difference?
Again, firsthand examples of farmers that are benefiting from that. And then I go towards agriculture is often something that gets Michigan and many other states through a recession, honestly. And I don't think that's pointed out as much, but because it will carry a state through and thereby carry the Michigan residents through down to. I think those are good things to point out.
Fantastic, Representative. I couldn't agree more. I feel personally that it was agriculture that really helped keep the state afloat during the Great Recession, and we're positioned to do so much more in the future. And we can only achieve those goals by maintaining our strong partnerships between the Land Grant Institution, MSU AgBioResearch, MSU Extension, with our partners in the agricultural sector, our elected officials, and citizens in every community. We may remain committed to doing that now and into the future. Representative, it's been a great conversation. Always appreciate your time, appreciate your support. We look forward to chatting with you again in the future.
Thank you.